welcome to our very first Women History Month celebration. Today we are actually going to be focusing on postpartum depression and its impact on women, knowing that we are entering and we are celebrating just being a woman and the impact women have created within society. So as we go through, definitely want to give that shout out to all the women, all the sisters, all the grandmothers who have created or made an impact for us and have laid or created that pathway for us to get through. So giving shout outs to our loved ones. Feel free to leave comments or to share comments. Today I will be um, your host, March 2nd. So, for you guys, for you women, what exactly are you doing to take care of yourself? What are you doing to be able to engage with others, to be able to help increase your coping skills, to be able to connect with other individuals that can provide support to you? So today, as we're going through and we're talking about postpartum depression, we need to be able to first try to understand what exactly it is. And for us to be able to understand what it is, we're just going to go a little in depth. But first, let us give a shout out to all the social workers out there. And the social workers, yes, there are LCSWs, yes, there are LMSWs, but there are also mental health therapies, there are family therapists, all these individuals that provide support to the mental health and the functioning of an individual, of the family, and the community overall. So shout out to everyone that within the mental health field and the social work field. So, when we think about postpartum depression, we need to be able to understand who exactly can be impacted, because we hear postpartum depression and sometimes traditionally it just goes straight to men. And the postpartum depression, it also comes in as around what exactly postpartum depression is. Like a mood, it's around where a person's mood is changing, and typically it begins after birth and usually lasts for 6 weeks. Anything thereafter is considered baby blues. So this is why is it important for us to know about postpartum depression? It is important for us to know about postpartum depression because when women are actually going through postpartum depression, people sometimes don't recognize it as a medical condition or as a condition that requires medical attention. We think that, oh, after you hear it all the time with men, that, oh, after my wife had our children, she just let go of herself. Oh, my wife or my girlfriend is not the same that we when we first met after she had the children. So understanding what postpartum is and how it can impact an individual's physical, emotional, mental, and social capacity is very important for us to be able to understand how it can impact the relationship with your children and how it can also impact the relationship you have with your spouse. NIH, the National Institute of Health, describes postpartum depression as a moderate to severe depression in women after she has given birth. It may occur soon after delivery or up to a year later. Most of the time, it occurs within the first 3 months after delivery. So, for guys out there, please have conversations with your spouse to be able to understand what are those changes, what are the emotions that they're going through, instead of creating a social norm or social expectations that, hey, she just let go of herself after she gave birth. So, to be able to have that engaging conversation, we are going back to um, who can be who can actually get postpartum depression. actually anybody who can have a child, regardless of your regardless of your not age only, but ethnicity, race. Anyone can actually be impacted um, and gain postpartum depression. We also have men who actually can get postpartum depression. So we pulled up some data around postpartum depression, and according to the CDC, whites are 11.7% exposed, or they go through and they have postpartum depression. We have blacks at 13.4%. Native Americans and Alaskan Natives are 16.6%. And I'm not sure if it's specifically Native Americans or is it the Alaska Natives, because we understand that depending on the environment and the climate change in Alaska, where you have a high percentage of darkness and the sunlight is not so high, because we also know that there's a high rate of suicide, domestic violence, and all the challenges that being faced, and it can be connected with the change of environment as well. When I say change of environment, we're talking about the winter, the winter and the summer not having as much spring space as other locations may have. And then you have the multi race, so any person can actually go through and experience postpartum depression. As we continue talking about it, we'll talk a little about what are some of the symptoms. If there's anyone out there that may have experienced postpartum depression and would like to share, I would be more than happy to be able to see what you're sharing and to provide inputs on that. Keep in mind that the inputs that I am providing is not diagnosis, and it is not a final say of anything. It is just psychoeducation that is being provided. So in here, typically you will see a woman as a symbol of postpartum depression, but men also go through it too, because there will be changes within the man's life, not within his body specifically, even if now science is proving that if a man lives within the same house and have those emotional connection to his spouse, he can also go through though some of those changes as well. There are times where if a woman is pregnant, the man feels the symptoms before the woman actually knows that she's pregnant. So being able to identify that if this can happen, then science is stating that that can also happen to a man as well, where he can be experiencing postpartum depression. We'll play a video. So I'm going to share my screen to be able to play this video. Where? Okay. Ooh. Let's see. It keeps on saying that same thing. Um, so it keep on saying the same thing about sharing the screen. So I am not sure what is happening. Let me see if I go onto another screen, will it allow me to share? I'm trying to change location. So as I'm trying to change location, we oh, okay. We are also going to be watching a video by Mr. Vegas, who spoke one of his songs is around postpartum depression. He made it in the early 20s. And Mr. Vegas is a musician from the Caribbean. So I am joining. Let me, I'm gonna mute this one and see if the other one will work. Okay, so this video will try to figure out how to play it later and add it to here. It is a video about a mom who is going through depression, and the father is providing support. And as a result of being able to identify the signs, both the mom and the dad were able to go and find professional help. So this is what this video is about, and I will try to evaluate to see why exactly we are having difficulty in streaming every video we're trying to stream on various platforms. So we spoke a little about postpartum depression, but one of the other things we definitely wanted to touch base on, we spoke a little, we saw it in the statistics that Nat- um, Native Alaskans have a higher rate of experiencing postpartum depression. So I wanted to be able to touch or do a integration with seasonal depression and its impact on postpartum depression. So, with the work that I do, I sometimes want to analyze what is the cause. Not, yes, individuals came and let us do an intervention, but where exactly is it all streaming from? And this what I find is that individuals, typically within the middle of January to the beginning of February, you have a high rate of individuals coming with depression. They might not know why they're depressed, they might not understand why they're going through those emotions, but you have clients that just come in and they're like, I'm feeling down, I'm feeling depressed, I do not know why. So, what we analyze is coming from November, you have an increase in excitement. And the excitement is like you have Thanksgiving, family members calling, you're traveling, you're around loved ones, you're on the rush, you have that high rush going through. And then you have the holidays, you have the Christmas holidays, you have all the holidays within that time frame. So there's a lot of celebration, there's a lot of shopping going on, there's a lot of exchanging of gifts. So there it increases the height of excitement. And then you have January, where you have the New Year's. Individuals have hope of what they want to be able to accomplish for the year. Family members may still be around, still communicating, and the excitement is still high. And then the heart of winter, which is the middle of January, is when you get individuals going through a high level of depression. And when you look at the high level of depression, you have the skies are really gray. It is really the entire environment, from the internal of the household to external of the environment. Everywhere is dull and poorly, not getting enough sunlight. So the depression is high within the season, and typically it's around this time frame within that 3 week period. So when you look at postpartum depression, individuals who may be going through it are at a higher risk of experiencing postpartum depression, because the needs and the socialization that would be able to help a person cope with that is in at the absence, because of the challenges the environment brings due to the seasonal changes. So I wanted to be able to share that, because I think psychoeducation is very important. Knowing what is influencing the change is very important for us to know how to be able to cope with it. But that is just in comparison to the seasonal. As we continue going through, we'll talk about what are some of the other changes that impact and influence individuals, especially going through postpartum depression. This is another video that I selected from Mr. Vegas. He talks about postpartum depression that his spouse was going through. She did not want to touch the baby, she did not want to interact with the baby. So that caused a separation and concern. Within, not within the relationship, but just within the connection with the mother and the child. And I really, really want to play that. So I probably may end up having to um I do want to play it. So I may end up having to pause the video to find out why this is happening. So I probably will just show it a little later. I am so sorry that you guys are not able to see any of those videos that were selected. So hopefully at the end we're able to show. Some of the other signs, the signs in women may differ in the signs in men. So for women, you have the thoughts, you have the feelings, you have the behaviors. It's just like any diagnosis. When you're diagnosing someone, you, in order for you to identify the symptoms, you need to be able to identify their thoughts. You need to be able to identify what are the feelings they're having and what are some of those behaviors. So for individuals with postpartum depression, this was also my thesis I did for my at my master's level. So it focused heavily on postpartum depression. Um, it's so right now you can, I don't know if you guys can hear, but my niece is actually in the background, um, either wanting some attention or wanting some love from all the other family members. So for thoughts, it's the inability to think clearly and make a decision. So individuals going through postpartum depression, that is also a common um, symptom in for individuals with overall depression as well. Lack of concentration and poor memory, running away from everything. So give me 1 minute. Let me see what's going on with the little one, because I know the other adults are looking after her. So great example of postpartum depression, because one of the symptoms is not being able to like have sufficient rest or be able to undertake the cry of the baby. So that's actually coming pretty handy. Let me go ahead and find out what's happening. Okay, I am back. And as soon as I went out, the baby was gone. So I guess they were just walking through. Um, so another area for thoughts is a lot of people, especially with postpartum depression, they're very worried that they may cause harm to the baby, or the baby might die, and either they or the baby may have a difficulty, and something may happen and the child might die. They also feel as if they might be inadequate to being a parent. They may also have thoughts of suicide as a result of that increase. So for me, I actually had C-sections. And while natural delivery was not an option for me, the what I found out was individuals with C sections, from me and from some of my peers that I spoke to, there were times I would just stay there after delivery and I was just like crying and I would have no idea why. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a joyful person, I'm a cheerful person. So I do not understand why on earth I'm just staying there and I am just crying. And so I ended up calling my sister, one of who had a C-section, and she was explaining to me that yes, she had the same symptoms, that she was just staying there and she was crying. The difference is she did not have anyone to be able to tell her that this is part of the process and this is where the body is changing. You're going through your hormonal changes. And then I ended up contacting one of my friends who also had C-section. And through her C-section, she was like, yes, she went through the same thing. And she was just staying there. She was just crying. She could not sleep. She had difficulty sleeping, but it was not customary. So for us, it was like something was weird, something was not normal. And I wanted to be able to understand why. And I also remember that when I was at the hospital with my daughter, I had a vivid dream. And somehow, with the vivid dream, I saw everything that was happening. I dreamt that my husband's best friend was murdered in my arms. And I had never, never, never in my entire life ever witnessed someone being murdered, and it scared the crap out of me that I could not tell reality from the dream. So something told me no, something is weird, something is not in accordance. So I went to the school counselor and not the school, sorry, the hospital counselor, and I asked, is it normal to be able to have those symptoms? And they told me yes, if you have definitely c-section and in addition to the c-section you're breastfeeding, it increases the imbalance of the hormones. So you're gonna, some people with go through extreme vivid dreams that is horrifying which I had to go through, and it took a long time because that was traumatizing. It took a long time for me to be able to actually process it, that it was not real, the dream was not real. So understanding the fluctuation with that, and also understanding with c-section with that also causes an imbalance within the hormones, in addition to having your child, in addition to the body changes due to delivery. Then you also have feelings where individuals might feel low mood, they might not feel happy, some of them might not feel engaging or socializing. They definitely will have fear of the baby, do not want to interact with the baby. You might find it's weird, but you might go and you might come home and the baby is screaming and crying and no one wants to interact with the baby or socialize with the baby. Not no, the males also go through it. So when I say no one, I'm talking about either the mother or the father. They may end up feeling or going through confusion or anxiety, also having panic attacks. I think one of the major difficulties with it all is fear that you might not be a competent parent, and fear that your child might die the moment that baby makes a sound. It's like you jump up, you want to go and check, and then if the baby is not making a sound, some people actually wake up the baby because they feel as if the baby is dead. So it brings in that panic of whether, okay, is that baby alive? Am I going to kill that baby? What exactly is going on? Which falls underneath the umbrella of uncertainty. So it does not matter whether you have 5 children, 6 children, every child is different. The way in which your body reacts to each child will vary. Then we have the behaviors might change. We spoke about the feeling of fear, but also we spoke on the staying away. Individuals may also have difficulty sleeping. You might twist and turn because you always want to be alert. You want to, it starts off like just being enable ensuring that the child does not oversleep, or the child might be crying so much that you're deprived of sleep. And as a result, we know that if a person is deprived of sleep, it can increase in depression, it can cause depression. They also have a decrease in energy, that because it's all connected. If you don't have enough sleep, you don't have enough energy, then it might also impact your socialization and the way you're going to be taking care of yourself. Your coping skills will be extremely poor. But overall, it's very important to be able to find someone to be able to talk to, because for me, if I did not have my sister and my friends who had gone through the same thing, then it would have been challenging for me to understand that, hey, nothing is wrong with me, it is just a process that a woman's body actually goes through, because it's not talked about. You do not have those conversations, it's not spoken at school whatsoever. So as a result, I ended up doing my thesis on postpartum depression. Not my PhD, not my dissertation, but my master's level thesis. This is a video. I really am gonna make sure I play these videos before we leave. But this is a video that was in Wilmington. I believe that was 2017. I remember hearing about it and I got that was around the same time that I had my son. I remember hearing about it in where the mom drowned the two children in the city of Wilmington, and she had called for help. She had called the police, or called she called one of the agencies for help. They came, they did an assessment, but they did not identify, meaning that they did not have the trainings to be able to identify that this mom actually needed help. And a few hours later, the mom ended up drowning the children. So, in that case, I am sharing these stories because, as professionals, it is also important for us to be able to understand what exactly is postpartum depression, because there are women who are asking for help. There are women who may not understand why they're feeling this way, why they cannot handle their child's crying, why they feel like drowning their children because they want silence, why they feel like killing their child, because they may not be able to understand what emotions they're going through. So for us as professionals, whether you are in the police department, the mental health department, the hospitals, it is being able to understand what exactly is postpartum depression and how it can alter a person's thinking. I remember growing up in St. Lucia, and that was the very first time I heard of postpartum depression. So it's not because I did my clinical, but I remember a story that my family was telling me about a lady who had four children, and she was a single mom. And in around 2 in the morning, around midnight, whatever the case was, she went to the beach and she drowned the children. And many times when we look at is just that individuals who go through postpartum depression, sometimes they just want silence, because either they might not have the support that they need, they may be going through the challenges. Even if the spouse is there, the spouse might be going to work, because we know traditionally the woman has the child and the male counterpart goes to work to provide. So in reality, the woman has to go through those changes by herself. And in other countries like Norway, there are where men are able to take paternity leave for them to be able to spend time with their children and their spouse to be able to help out, because this is a major change. Signs in men, the bottom half is similar to that of women, but with the men is also, if they are in they have a history similar to women, they may have a history of depression. And as a result of having a history of depression, the once the child comes along, they might be fearful that of becoming a father. They might be going through some economical challenges. They might lose their job. They might not have a job. They might have financial difficulties, which is adding additional stressors, or they might have life stressful events. And they might also have sleep challenges, but also with the babies crying, they might also lose out on sleep. So these are very common. One of the other parts for men, if they are in a rocky relationship, they're also concerned for the well-being of their child and how their role as a father gonna be impacted within the lives of the child. So there are lots of different areas that both men and women actually go through for postpartum depression. Traditionally, it's only focused on women actually having postpartum depression, but now we know that men also go through it as well. The level in which they might go through it or the frequency they may go through it may vary, but it still remains that men also go through postpartum depression. Causes, there are a variety of causes, so what I state might only be just a handful of those causes. So some of the causes, definitely biological factors, where a person may end up having, their family may have had depression, they may have had depression. So it is both. Another biological factor is where they reproduce their hormones, they have hormonal imbalance, and that can cause an increase after delivery, a major imbalance in increase after delivery. You may also have the mental health condition where it is newly developed, where prior to pregnancy they may have gone through a major life change and they develop depression. They may have had PTSD, any other mental health diagnosis that could have resulted in the development of postpartum depression. For emotional, they may be going through and having marital or relationship problems. They might also have low self-confidence. Generational cycles and also cycles of trauma can also be impacted. The social support is very important. So in the Caribbean where I raise, if a woman has a child, you have the community that provides the support. So you'll have individuals that will be cooking, individuals that will be checking in on them. I also know when I was growing up in the Caribbean, I do not know if that's how it is right now, but a woman had 3 months off after delivery. And typically at the beginning, they were not allowed to sweep, they were not allowed to do anything that caused any stress to them. They were just allowed to take care of the baby to a certain extent. And after, as they continue going through recovery, then they would be able to do the basic household chores. In China and in other certain parts, China, I believe, I'm not sure if it has changed as yet, but they have a year off. And within that time frame, within 40 days they are not allowed to sweep. So that were the traditional practices. We're not sure if that has changed as a result of society developing and development of civilization and the universe or the world coming together in that collaboration. But also, the major thing is having the community support. When I came to the US, I was here by myself, and just myself and my husband. So neither one of us had the support that was required or that was needed. So when my husband went to work, I was there by myself. And that in itself was stressful. It was stressful taking care of a child, being able to adjust the life, and then you have the social pressure of where you want to see yourself, where you want to be, what you want to be able to provide for your family, and to be able to break certain norms. So the social support is so important in being able to cope with postpartum depression. If individuals do not have the social support, then there's a great chance of them having postpartum depression. And keep in mind, social support does not mean that, yes, I have a boyfriend or yes, I have a husband, but are they involved in providing the support for you to help alleviate some of those stress that you're going through, and vice versa. Then lifestyle factors. So the baby might be demanding, or they might have an older sibling that is demanding. They might have an adjustment within the family where now you have, when you used to take care of just one child, now you have two children to take care of, and it's overwhelming. And you have to bring one to school, and other one you have to change a diaper, you have to provide for your spouse, you have so many things going on, and you're not able to adjust to the requirements of what society makes that okay you need to adjust to. Breastfeeding is also one of the major factors for women. It might seem as if it's something natural, but just the exhaustion in ensuring that the child is getting nutrition from breastfeeding, you are able to do it adequately, because there are individuals that are worried that they are not providing sufficient nutrition to their children or to their child. And just the overall exhaustion of taking care of a newborn child, and that can increase in the stress, the financial problems. Now that you're taking care of a child, you have the changes, you have to think of diapers, you may not have sufficient funding. Yes, there are individuals who may have the financial support to provide, but not everyone that has the financial support, because when you get pregnant, that does not guarantee that you remain in the same job that you had prior. These are some of the changes that do happen, which will increase financial problems. And then you also have the lack of support, which I spoke of, within the spouse or the loved ones. And sometimes it's not that the loved ones are not there and not caring, but they may need to be involved in their work more to ensure that homelessness does not fall in, to ensure they provide for the family. And it's probably that they think the best reaction to be able to provide and to be present is to provide financially. So being able to revision and think as to what are some of the causes, because once we understand some of the causes, then we can better cope with those challenges. So we many times we hear about baby blues and postpartum depression, and we use it interchangeably sometimes, but we don't realize they're actually different. The major difference is the severity, and in addition to the severity, it is also the duration. So how long has the individual been going through those challenges or the depression? um, for the postpartum depression, we spoke about all those symptoms, but also with the baby blues is where they have a high level of impatience, they're irritable, everything just gets them annoyed, they're restless, they're anxious, they're sad, their mood changes so frequently. So being able to see the progression of the baby blues. And these are some of the quotes that some individuals have shared within the past about postpartum depression. I will just share a few, so I would probably be able to have some time to just show some statistics, and we can I can see if I would be able to share the videos. So it says, I look back now and realize that I was unprepared for what my emotions and body and energy level would, consist of. There's not enough, in my opinion, not enough working mothers who kind of talk about who they leaned on and how they got through that difficult time, which is really true that it is very difficult to be able to find a pathway to have those conversations. Living in Delaware, I am yet to hear anything about postpartum depression. When it did happen in 2017, and the mom killed two of her children. Yes, she ended up being arrested, but she did try to get help. And because the help did not identify those problems, and we don't have resources in Delaware that I know of that actually provide knowledge and provides guidance around postpartum depression, this is one of the major concerns for me in especially being someone who did have a postpartum depression. I couldn't sleep. My heart was racing and I got really depressed. I went to the doctor and found out my hormones had been pummeled. And another one, I want to be honest about postpartum depression because I think there's still so much shame when you have mixed feelings about being a mom instead of feeling so sort of bliss. I think a lot of people still really struggle with that, but it's hard to find other people who are willing to talk about it. And these are similar. When you go through, individuals are saying the same thing, is the space to be able to talk about it. Where is the space? Do the doctors know about it? Are they able to have conversations? Do they even understand what it is? Or did they have the support that they themselves, even if they had children, they may not have experienced it because they had the support? So experience is so important. Knowledge is key, but most importantly, especially as medical providers, it is important to be able to listen to what your clients are saying, because based on what they are saying, you will be able to better support them and better provide the services that they need to cope with the challenges they are facing. I didn't know what had happened to me. I was stuck in this great depression where I just wanted to retreat and pull the covers over my head and weep. And this is the sudden tears where you have no idea what's going on, and then one moment you're happy, another moment you're just crying, you don't want to get out of bed. And I know for sure that happened to me. I was just there, and then one moment I was just crying and I had no idea what was going on. And that was when I decided to call to my sister and one of my friends, actually a few of my friends, but I do remember the two major ones that made a major impact when they told me that they had gone through it as well. And then the last slide I want to share is postpartum report. I Because I did that report in 2011, I was looking to see if the site was still up and if they're still gathering information around postpartum depression, but I was not able to gather the site. So I just copy and paste that information from my thesis that I did in 2011, I believe. Yeah, I believe it was 2011, 2012. So it showed that individuals in Arizona and in suicide, we have a high level of murder and attempted murder. And then we also have suicide. So in Arizona, California, Alaska, Illinois, Maryland, Florida, Washington, Indiana, Oregon, Georgia, England. There are a lot of people all around the world that actually going through postpartum depression. And postpartum depression is not where you see a woman and say, hey, you know what, my woman has changed after giving birth. No, your woman has gone through a lot after giving birth, and she may not have had the opportunity to have a conversation with you to be able to share that, hey, this is what I'm going through and this is how I'm feeling, because the doorway for understanding needs to be opened. The conversation needs to be there. There are individuals, when they're going through that, they gain weight. There are individuals who may lose weight. There are individuals who may go through excessive withdrawal. And when I say excessive withdrawal, they just don't want anything to do with the child. They don't want to do anything with socialization. But because we don't have the knowledge, we might not understand. And the statistics does show it's concerning. So while this may have been 2011 and we're 11 years further down the line, it is still important to know that there is statistics out there. There are just 2017 in Wilmington it happened, but these are only reported, and we know that a larger percentage of individuals do not report postpartum depression. So self-reporting and undocumented or individuals that did not report is still as high. So, with that being said, I want to definitely thank everyone out there who is watching. If you are going through any form of depression and you're feeling down or you just had your baby, please, please, please connect with a professional. Regardless of what part of the world you are watching, I know we have individuals that are watching from St. Lucia, individuals from England, Italy, France. We know that individuals from Canada is watching as well. Individuals from Alaska is watching, Pakistan, individuals throughout, definitely Africa as well. We know that you guys are watching because we do get conversations and communications from you guys. So if you are living anywhere around the world and you or someone you know may be going through or may show signs of depression, please reach out to someone to be able to reduce on the impact that postpartum depression can have on the mother, on the father, or on that child. So, with that being said, if you are in the Delaware location and you are in need of services, whether it is for postpartum depression, PTSD, just generalized anxiety, whatever the mental health challenges is, or whatever life challenges you are going through, please reach out to us. You can email us at intake@holisticelevation.org, or you can call us at 302-278-0026. We will see all of you guys again next time. I will rejoin within a few minutes to be able to show the videos that I wanted to share. It will probably be separate, but I did want to share that with you guys. Every woman out there, have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful rest of your week while you enjoy Women History Month. This is Breaking Chain Live, and I am your host, Dr. Alice Leon Stevens. See you until next time.